Okay, so Tom's just confirmed that he did not have opening statements from the three of you on. It went down during that time. Would you guys like to repeat them so that they'll be heard on the air and on YouTube? Okay. All right, so we'll ready to go. Round two, Morgan, take two. Yep. All right, we are back here with the WTRE Greensburg Daily News Political Forum. We are going to start with opening statements, 2 minutes for these, and we'll start with District 1, Tony Blodgett.
I grew up in Greensburg and proud to say that I come from a long line of civil servants. My grandfather, father, brother, and I all served as law enforcement officers in Decatur County. After graduating from Greensburg High School, I enlisted in the United States Air Force and served 10 years on active duty and an additional 4 years in the reserves. I was promoted to the position of non-commissioned officer and not only received training in leadership and management, but also served in those roles supervising a diverse workforce from all over the country, oftentimes in high-stress environments. I left the military and returned home to Greensburg to serve my community in a more direct way. I was hired by the Decatur County Sheriff's Department to create a security program at the courthouse. In doing so, I was able to learn about how the different county offices worked and their duties, created working relationships with many of the people who still work in the offices today. I was then hired as a sheriff's deputy where I was a field training officer and state certified instructor. I served as jail commander and managed an overcrowded jail, a staff of over 16 employees, and a budget over $1 million. I was privileged to work with the sheriff, county council, and county commissioners in problem-solving the jail overcrowding and the deteriorating living conditions in the jail. Only after exploring every possible path to correct these issues was it determined that a new sheriff's office and detention center was needed. I assisted in determining the scope of the work of the project, the design of the detention center, and attempted to identify budget increases that would be needed. I've been serving as your Decatur County Commissioner for nearly 1 year and have worked hard to learn and understand the intricacies of the job. I've committed to bringing transparency to the position, increasing communication to the citizens of Decatur County, and listening to the thoughts and opinions of others before making any decision brought before me. All of these experiences give me a unique skill set and perspective to be your Decatur County Commissioner.
Thank you. District 1, Melanie Nobby.
Hello, my name's Melanie Nobby. I have been married to Jerry Nobby for 29 years. We have 3 children, Alicia, Kate, and Dylan. My full-time job is I manage Denny's in Shelbyville, Indiana. I'm a manager, and council at large is my second full-time job. I have voted down the food and beverage tax, and I will continue to vote down the food and beverage tax as long as I am on council. I think we have too many taxes in this county, and we don't need to add another one. The food and beverage tax, if you're a big chain restaurant, you can afford the hit, but if you're a small business restaurant, you cannot afford that hit because you don't have the other restaurants in your district to absorb that money. And that is a little bit about me.
All right, thank you. District 1, Brian Wenning.
Hello, I'm Brian Winning. I'm a widow. My wife of 30 years passed away 6 years ago. I have 2 adult daughters. My daughter Maddie lives in San Diego. My daughter Molly is married and lives in Batesville. I'm also a papa to 3 little boys, 5, 3, and 1 year old. I'm an assistant chief at the Greensburg Fire Department with 32 years on the department. I have been the fire department's pension secretary for the last 28 years, taking care of our retired members and responsible for hiring new firefighters. I am also the 3rd generation owner of Wenning Upholstery, started by my grandfather in the 1940s. I'm a lifelong member of St. Mary's Church, where I'm very involved in my parish. I was awarded the Layperson of the Year and also the Distinguished Graduate of St. Mary's School. I'm a 29-year member of the Greensburg Optimist Club and a 35-year member of the Knights of Columbus. Jeff Dugan and I were the St. Mary's Festival Committee chairs for 25 years, and through the efforts of our festival team, we raised over $1 million during that time period for St. Mary's, coordinating over 250 volunteers each year for the On Eagles Wings 5K and the 2-day festival every August. I've been awarded the Paul Harris Fellow Award by the Greensburg Rotary Club, the Bill Grivey Optimist of the Year and Optimist Firefighter of the Year by the Greensburg Optimist Club. I was a 6-year United Fund board member, with the last year being the president, and was awarded the United Fund Volunteer of the Year. As you can see, I'm involved in my church, my career, and my community with a lifetime of service and dedication. As I retire from the fire department in December, I hope to continue my service to Decatur County as Commissioner for District 1.
All right, thank you. That was District 1. Our District 3 candidates will begin with Nick Asher.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nick Asher, and I'm running for Decatur County Commissioner in District 3. My roots run deep in the county. I'm a lifelong resident, originally from just outside of Westport. I graduated from South Decatur High School, and soon after, my dad and I took a business adventure and started Asher Trucking. What started with just a few dump trucks has grown to now operating tractor trailers hauling farm commodities. After marrying my wife, Abby, we bought a farm outside Millhausen where we raised our 3 children, Lily, Lane, and Sage. The values I learned from my parents and from running my own business are what will guide me as your commissioner. Integrity, hard work, and a strong sense of responsibility to the community. I believe in open and accountable leadership, managing our finance responsibly, and working together to tackle the challenges and opportunities facing Decatur County.
Thank you. District 3, Deanna Burkhart.
Good morning. I'm Deanna Burkhart. My maiden name is Bradywater. My beginning years were spent moving a lot. In fact, I moved 30 times by the time I graduated high school. This taught me to be adaptable and to quickly get to know new people. I worked 2 to 3 jobs at a time while putting myself through college. This gave me a great work ethic and an ability to work alongside all types of people. After nearly a decade of working in various jobs that broadened my knowledge base, I became a stay-at-home mom, reminding me to focus on the important things in life, teaching me how to put others before myself. My life experience has brought me full circle to applying my life lessons to serving a community I love, a community that we are all a part of. My past work experience has included jobs in geotechnical environmental consulting, where I coordinated and wrote proposals for multi-million-dollar projects, property management for a large land developer, sales roles at multiple television stations, and locally at Batesville Casket. As the director of the Decatur County Arts and Cultural Council, I wrote grants for funding. These jobs have given me the experience needed to be a strong commissioner. Why am I standing before my community as a candidate for Decatur County Commissioner? Because I am passionate about our community and I'm proud to live here. I see the beauty of our past and the potential of our future. I want to contribute to do my part to help make it the best it can be. My willingness to dive into many committees, ask hard questions, and work hard in my current role on County Council have been proof of my commitment to the task that I have been blessed to have to serve my community. What I promise throughout this process is to give thoughtful, honest answers, but more importantly, to listen to the views of others and incorporate them into my evaluation of each task at hand. I'm looking forward to answering today's questions directly and completely and earning your vote for County Commissioner.
Thank you. District 3, Mark Kors.
Good morning, and a big thanks to WTRE and Greensburg Daily News. I am Mark Kors, District 3 Commissioner. I'm 65 years old and a Decatur County resident for 60 years. My wife's name is Gail. She works in education. We have 2 grown children. Our daughter Desta is a designer in Indianapolis. Our son Luke is pastor at the Hopewell Baptist Church. I began my married life farming and driving a school bus for Decatur County Schools in 1969. In the early 90s, I started in the paving business, now with 30 years experience paving and building roads. I served on the Decatur County School Board for 12 years. I've coached basketball at South Decatur for 26 years. I've been an active member of Westport Kiwanis for 43 years. I was elected District 3 Commissioner in November 2016 and began service January 2017. I've been president of the Board of Commissioners since January of 2020, and since that time we open every meeting with prayer given by a local pastor. During my 2 terms, I have not taken the county health insurance, saving the county general $250,000 in premiums and claims. Thank you.
Thank you. In District 3, Gabe Nobby.
I'm Gabe Nobby. I'm a lifelong resident of Decatur County. I'm a husband to Jacqueline Nobby and a father to 2 children, Henry that's 10 and Caroline that's 8. I'm a graduate of South Decatur High School in 2007. I live in Jackson Township, and I currently serve as PTO treasurer, youth football treasurer, and concessions manager for youth and high school sports. I worked at Enhanced Telecommunications here in Decatur County, Greensburg, for over 10 years. I now work for Graybar Electric as a senior outside sales representative in the broadband division. I've never served in a public office, but I would be honored to be elected and serve this county.
All right, thank you. We're going to start with our first question. Melanie Nobby, District 1, will be the first one to answer.
Yes, Mrs. Nobby touched on this during her first introduction. While the Board of Commissioners won't be the only governmental entity involved with any decisions that are made in the future, the idea of solar farms is obviously a hot topic in Decatur County right now, and I'd like each of you to weigh in on where you stand and what could be done to attract or prevent them from developing.
Okay, so yes, first of all, I am against solar farms, but again, we can't tell people what they can and cannot do with their farmland. But these solar companies got their money from the Inflation Reduction Act and was told to go out and buy land. So that's what they're doing. But I know eventually they will come and ask for tax abatements, and we can't afford any more tax abatements right now. So I'm thinking if they can't get a tax abatement, maybe that will deter them from trying to buy any more farmland in the county.
All right, next will be Brian Winning, District 1.
Likewise, I am personally against solar farms, but as we all have, if we've seen the Article 20 that the Decatur County Commissioners and the Board of Zoning Appeals have passed, that you can allow solar farms to be in Decatur County. So I think the BZA will make that decision. I believe that's part of the process, that if that is done, if the BZA will pass that, we have to decide what are we going to do with those the solar farms. Is this something that if one gets passed, do we have more that's coming? And we hear that on the west side of Decatur County, there's another 4,500 to 6,000 acres that could be solar farms. So I think if it's something that the county, that we decide that we want to make a decision on, do we slow that growth of solar farms? If it does get passed, we have to work on an ordinance on that, or work on a way to decide what is the growth of solar farms. I think that as we move forward, if it does get passed, I will agree with Melanie that we have to decide what are we going to do with those tax dollars. If it's something that this company RWE comes in, we have to decide what is the best for our county and how do we use those tax dollars to use for any kind of resources we can use.
Thank you. District 1, Tony Blodgett.
I get asked this question quite often, and my answer has pretty well stayed the same as I listen to everybody. Governments should regulate and control freedoms. Everybody has the right and freedom to do what they want to do on their properties until the point that that freedom encroaches on others. And our government should protect those freedoms, but not eliminate the processes. As recently as 3 years ago, the county commissioners created and built an ordinance regulating solar farms. I've reviewed that ordinance. While it's short and concise, having compared it to other 34-page ordinances, there's no substantive differences between those. As I listen to the public and listen to the concerns, most of their concerns are addressed within our ordinance. So I believe that the commissioners have done their duty to protect those freedoms, and now it's up to the BZA to decide whether those exceptions will be going forward. As far as the tax dollars go, looking at the total package, it will be the current one that's on the table for the BZA is about $1 million increase in property taxes. And as from the council discussion earlier, money is tight, so that needs to be considered in the process as to whether that money is worth the loss of ag and the soil.
Thank you. District 3, we'll start with Deanna.
So I've looked at this a lot, and I think what I may have done differently than some of the folks at the table is I've actually reached out to larger farmers. I myself am a farmland owner. My family's owned farmland for 6 generations now. So I reached out to some of the folks that have larger farms. I've reached out to some of the folks that are involved in the energy system. I'm firmly believing that our valuable farmland resource is not best used for solar. If they came to me tomorrow and said, do you want money for your land to put solar, I would say no. So that is a non-question for me as far as should we have solar. The next question that everybody has touched on is landowner rights. Again, as a landowner, would I want the government telling me what to do? And I think it comes down to whether those rights impede on other people's rights, surrounding land rights, what the further possible risks would be in the future. And I don't think that everybody has all of the answers to that yet, but I would lean towards not supporting solar in our community. I've delved farther into the energy system and have talked to people in the know, and it might be eye-opening to everyone to understand that, as with everything else, the cost of creating those solar fields has increased quite a bit. What that's going to do, if the companies even get past the BCA to create those solar fields, it's going to raise their cost to produce those solar fields, which is going to raise their cost of energy. And there's a chance that people won't even spend the money for the cost that they're going to have to ask for that energy charge. So it may be a moot point.
District 3, Mark Kors.
Really tough question. Get asked once or twice a day. I'm a firm believer in property rights. I think solar is a good option, but I don't think on farm ground is the right option. There are hundreds of acres of parking lots. I drive every Friday morning. I drive to Indianapolis to our company office, which is on 30th and Shadeland. The Indianapolis Metro Police Department East Side Division has 40 acres of carport solar panels. You wouldn't even know it. They were solar panels driving by unless you knew what you were looking for. I think that's an option. Honda has hundreds of acres out there where they park cars. I'm pushing. In fact, I've got a meeting next week with Francisco, who's leading the RWE, to get into some conversation with Honda about that possibility. But I don't think using good farm ground's a good place for solar.
All right, District 3, Gabe Nobby.
I definitely know this is a big topic. It's going to continue for at least for the near future. I am not against solar, but I do not believe that it belongs on prime agricultural ground. That said, I do want to make it clear that I support landowner rights. I have fought challenges that have frustrated me and when abiding by county guidelines. I believe landowners should decide what to do with their land until it negatively impacts their surrounding neighbors or land. I have attended several meetings, both private and public, where this has been discussed, and I've heard both sides. 3 years ago, the commissioners established a solar ordinance for this county, and this decision is now in the hand of the Board of Zoning Appeals to make this final decision.
All right, thank you. And District 3, Nick Asher.
I guess I'm going to echo everyone else. I'm not for solar. There's a place for solar. It's not on prime farm ground. But in the next breath, you have landowner rights. And with landowner rights, I don't think it should affect the properties around you where like the solar farms would. And is solar really farming? I mean, it's not agriculture. I'm old school. Farming's planting corn and beans, wheat, livestock, and getting that out there. But you still have landowner rights, and I think there's a place for solar, but I don't think Decatur County prime farm ground's it.
All right, thank you. Our next question, we'll start with District 1, Brian Wenning. Decatur County has a lot of challenges. We've talked about mental health this morning. There's a shortage on housing. The solar farms obviously are a big discussion. But how do you prepare for those in the foreseeable future? Because we're going to continue to grow. That is the whole goal is growth in this community. So how do you prioritize those and control the growth, protect the farmland? So where are your priorities? How do they lie?
That's a very tricky question because we are known as an agricultural community and we want to protect our farm ground, but then on the second hand, people say we want to grow, or do we want to grow? That's a good question. Do we want more residential? Do we want more housing? And where do you put that? Do you put that on farm ground? Where do you make your next subdivision? So I do feel that all of these things all envelop a good county as a people want to live here. One of the first things that people look at when they want to come to our county or come to a county, a place to live, is it safe? Do we have good health care? Do we have a good place to share our faith? Those three things in education, those four things. Where are we going to go? You know, where do you want to live? So I believe that Decatur County, we have all those good qualities for life. But we also have to balance that with, do we do another subdivision, or do we do more housing or apartments, and we break up the agricultural part of it. So I think as county commissioners, we have to prioritize what is important to us. I feel like there is some room for growth. We have St. Paul, we have New Point, we have areas in our county that could actually have growth in those areas, not only just Greensburg. So we look at it as a county as a whole. Where can we have these people live? More homes, housing. I think when we're looking at taxes, I think Bill, he talked about mental health and talked about, you know, what do we do with our tax dollars and how do we help those around us? I think mental health is a huge issue I know in police and firefighters. Suicide is one of the number one causes of death there in firefighters and police officers. So I see that every day, that I think we can actually take the resources as for our county, the commissioners.
That's time, sorry. All right, Tony Blodgett, District 1.
So you talk about growth and quick statistics, because I like statistics, is Decatur County's only grown by 10.7% since 1980. Then Indiana's grown at 24.4%, and the national average is 47%. While we've done that, our cost to our government has grown at a much higher rate. In 1978, we built a 32-bed jail. In 2018, we built a 242-bed jail that's been at its capacity already. So the tax burden on our citizens is directly because of a lack of growth. The county residency rates dropped from 14,500 to 14,000 when you exclude the citizens of Greensburg from that. So we do have to focus on our growth and get that up to the averages so that we can spread the cost of taxes amongst a larger group of people. How do we do that? We have to start looking at our unincorporated and incorporated towns and partnering with them to move forward. St. Paul is a prime area for growth, but they are item restricted and unable to add any homes or housing to that area. The county commissioners and council currently aren't actively engaged with St. Paul in solving that problem, and we need to be. That becomes a taxpayer issue that affects our entire county. Westport just recently came off item restriction for the same things. New Point receives its water from Napoleon, and its sewage goes to Batesville. Again, another problem with creating growth in these areas that are prime for an increase in population. This is how we reduce our taxes. Mental health, 10 years in law enforcement is there. Again, that is the burden of the taxpayer dollars. Do we want to spend it in incarceration and in criminal justice and prosecution, or do we want to send it in preventative measures to reduce generational growth? My father spent 30 years in law enforcement, and he was arresting the grandchildren of people he originally started arresting in the 70s. We have to fix that through mental health, rehabilitation, and court services and probation and parole.
Thank you. District 1, Melanie Nobby.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, so when you look at Decatur County and the challenges that we face, whether it be the health crisis, the mental health, shortage on housing, protecting farmland versus solar farms, how do you look at those challenges and prioritize how you're going to handle them?
Well, first of all, I think we have plenty of land in the county to build, but we need to build affordable housing to get people in here. If you get affordable housing in here, then people that work in the factories can afford to actually buy a home, rent a home, and then after you get people in here, then you can build the bigger houses and property taxes automatically go down on their own because there'll be more people. But on the other hand, I think with not having enough housing is a big effect on people's mental health. I really do, because if people can't find affordable housing, then they just give up, then they may turn to drugs. And if there's no way, it's just a revolving door with childcare, and no childcare, no public transportation, no affordable housing. All of that is a revolving door, and it just goes back to your mental health.
All right, thank you. District 3, we'll start with Mark Kors.
Okay, growth priorities. Rooftops. When I sat on the school board long ago, Your kid count in your schools is where your tax dollars come from the state. Our county schools haven't had much growth at all in the last 8 years, maybe 10 or 12. Either way, it fluctuates. So there's been no growth. When Honda came to town, a previous commissioner sat down with us. We were talking about how much the schools were going to grow, and we were talking at that time about adding on to North and South Decatur. There was some talk of consolidation. They tried to convince at that time that the schools were going to grow by 30%. Well, you've seen Hondas came to town. They've been here a few years. Our schools aren't any larger than they were. We need rooftops. In my 8 years as commissioner, we've changed the face of area plan. At one time when I first became commissioner, you could not hardly build a house in the county. They would turn it down. Every farm in Decatur County has a buildable site on it. I can promise you that will not take farm ground out of production. Doesn't need to be. There are a lot of good home sites in the country, and that's what we need to concentrate on, getting some new houses in the county. We need to, Deanna and I both serve on the Economic Development Board. We're constantly reaching out, bringing new businesses to town, new things. So that's how I'd solve the problem.
All right, thank you. District 3, Gabe Nobby.
Yeah, I really do believe this is a tough thing. Some of the schools I've heard, particularly South Decatur, there may be as little as 8 to 10 students in a class. So we definitely need to add people to this county. We know that we have jobs that are available. We're having trouble filling those seats. So how do we get people to come here? We have to look attractive. I believe that's got to be a part of structure development. I don't think adding, a few homes in the county is going to do it. It'd be nice to add on to our small towns that we have. However, there are constraints. There's wastewater and fresh water, and some of that is already, as already mentioned, about at its peak. So we need to have a forecastable plan for the future of going forward of how do we upgrade those towns, how do we allow them to expand and bring those communities back to life. Mental health is very important, and as Melanie mentioned, I do think that some of the constraints that people feel with taxes and housing and the rising costs are causing some of those issues, but I definitely believe they need to be addressed, and we need to do our part to make sure that they are.
All right, thank you. District 3, Nick Asher.
Population growth, that's a tough question for me because I have a trucking company and trying to get people to come work for you. How do you get them here? The pay's good. Like Mark said, there's places to build houses. There's all kinds of off-site, non-agriculture sites. So what do you have to do? You have to be attractive, and getting that is something that the commissioners need to work on and figure out as a team. That's just something that the three guys or girls, whichever ones, they just need to work as a team and figure it out. It can't be a one person decision trying to figure it out, and there's not really a one person solution.
All right, thank you. District 3, Deanna Burkhart.
I'd say the first thing we need is a plan, and that's been a big part of my campaign. Our community hasn't had a comprehensive plan since 2014 and 2015. That's almost 10 years ago. You can imagine in your own household the changes that you've seen, the changes in cost, the changes in needs. And so what we need, not one person should be sitting down and making those decisions. We should be sitting down as a group, as Nick mentioned, as a commissioner, as councils, as a community to discuss what we need in our community. We do need growth. We need to figure out what that looks like because, again, Tony mentioned the cost of taxes. If we grow, we have a base to pull from. Those taxes won't rise as much. Mark mentioned EDC. I am on the board with Mark on EDC. I know that we are doing a deep dive into what can we do to better attract builders to our community. There seems to be, we sit in that gap between Indianapolis and Cincinnati. It's harder to draw people because of our location, because it's easier for them to stay closer to home. And finally, I lost my third point. That's why I need notes. I guess that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And we'll start this next question, District 1, Tony Blodgett.
Roads and bridges are one of the primary responsibilities of the Board of Commissioners. I'd like each of you to assess the job currently being done and share your thoughts about what we can do to do better.
So the first thing that I've asked to have done and expecting information on very soon is taking a total assessment of the county highway garage revenue and expenses and the amount of money that's coming in and expected to go out with that. Decatur County has over 100 bridges whose average age is over 53 years old. We are replacing bridges at a high rate. In the late 90s, early 2000s, we paved an additional 300 miles of roads. All of those roads are coming to the point where they need major rework. So the county highway does an annual assessment of those roads. They rate those roads. It's called a PACER system or PACER rating. And then they address the fixing and the repairing of the roads based off of that. They've been focusing on paving roads and resurfacing those. It's $116,000 a mile currently to do that. We utilize money from the community crossing grant to do that. We've generated $335-ish thousand last year for community crossing, which got us approximately $1 million from the state. That money comes from your wheel tax. That only gets us 12 miles of road to repair and replace. We're currently widening those roads from 18 to 20. And with that, we're creating new issues. The roads were originally designed to only be 18 feet wide. So our road edges, our ditches, and our utilities are all placed for an 18-foot road. Going to a 20-foot road has now created issues with our road edges because we're in the ditches literally with our asphalt. So trying to figure out how to tackle those problems and pay for that in the future is the difficult part. But the first thing comes with a financial assessment and projected critical costs to move forward from there.
All right, thank you. District 1, Melanie Nobby.
Okay, again, I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, assess the job being done currently to maintain roads and bridges and share your thoughts regarding what could be done to improve that.
Okay, so I live on 200 South, and that is a very bad road. And I guess I hounded the commissioners enough that they are going to write an ordinance for a tipping fee for Best Way. Because that is the reason why that road is horrible, and that's the reason why a lot of the roads in the county are horrible. And I think maybe they should do an ordinance for a tipping fee by Love's, by the St. Paul exit, because there are so many semis tearing up that road. And I'm not talking about farmers because they are seasonal. I'm talking about like the ones that's on there every day, 24/7. So I think if we could do tipping fees with the wheel tax, it would get our roads in much better shape and the bridges quicker.
All right, District 1, Brian Wenning.
I feel like that the county commissioners do a great job right now with the county roads. And I'll agree with Tony is you've got to have a plan you've got to prioritize and what are these roads? How do we take care of them? And also the cost of that at $116,000 a mile, you've really got to take care of the money that you have. If you can only do 12 miles a year of paving, that isn't very much. So I believe they do a fantastic job. I think the county commissioners and the county highway department do a great job, but let's plan for the future. Let's look at prioritize what roads need taken care of. And if it's 200 South or how do we generate that revenue to get those extra miles or get those roads taken care of? The wheel tax, we mentioned that earlier. That helps with the paving of the roads. But I think overall we do a good job. I think we have great roads, but it does take a lot of maintenance, a lot of care, and we've got to prioritize, plan, and how are we going to fund those things.
All right, thank you. And we'll start in District 3 with Gabe Nobby.
Thank you. I will work with the other commissioners to establish a capital improvement plan. This plan will list out all the county's assets and liabilities and allow for us to plan for repair and replacements. With all these items documented and recorded by their age, current condition, estimated replacement date, and replacement cost, we can finally have a forecastable budget for known items. There are, of course, unforeseen circumstances, which is why slush funds are and will be available. This plan will need to be laid out for a minimum of 15 to 20 years and reassessed throughout the year and approved annually. Implementing this plan will reduce the number of fires that need addressed and better plan for future expansions and improvements without the discussion of increased taxes. With appropriate organization, this will be manageable and recorded for public record, and this will allow for transparency throughout the county and for the council and commissioners to budget accordingly.
All right, thank you. District 3, Nick Asher.
The county roads in Decatur County, for the most part, are pretty good. I mean, the county's done a great job getting new blacktop put down the last few years. I mean, most of your major roads, 1,000 South, 1,100 South, 60 East, they're blacktop. Do I think they need to berm them? Absolutely. I mean, the ledge on that, you get a truck off, you get a car off, a school bus. We need to do something with that. Prioritizing these roads, I mean, we don't need to go backwards and go back to gravel. You can go on roads around the county and look at them and you think, oh my gosh, we're going to have to gravel this. Just, they need work. If that takes chip and sealing, not sure that's feasible. Don't know the total money on chip and sealing compared to blacktopping, but prioritizing these roads before they get damaged too far and trying to blacktop some, but you still got to take care of it. And if that means picking the roads like they have been doing, yes, let's do that, but take care of the roads we got. And the bridges, we got to figure that out. The bridges, there's, the way it sounds, there's all kinds of bridges. I talked to one gentleman. They closed his bridge, and they said they were going to open it, and then they said they was going to blacktop his road. Well, we need to figure out what we're going to do with these bridges, because if you don't have a bridge, you're going to shut down a lot of roads.
All right, thank you. District 3, Deanna Burker.
Okay, I'm gonna go up a level from this discussion because we've covered a lot of the local things, but we're facing a lot of challenges when it comes to funding roads. A lot of our funds come in from wheel tax, but also from fuel tax. And with that fuel tax is a challenge of a lowering fuel tax because of the implementation of electric cars. So I think there's a big discussion around how do we recoup those dollars from folks who are not using fuel. That's number one. Number two, I don't know if you're all aware, but the state began talking last year about looking at the larger cities, and we had, I think it was Ms. Meltzer talked earlier about not focusing on just Marion County. Larger cities are complaining because the funding that we receive are based on our road miles. The cities are complaining because they have multiple lanes on those miles and are now wanting a recalculation of the funding due to them having multiple lanes over those miles. So we're at risk, if we don't have representation and a voice, of losing even more funding for our roads because of those potential upcoming discussions. It started last year. Thank goodness the state doesn't move quickly, but it's something we're going to have to keep a really tight eye on because we're going to have a lot harder discussions if we don't stay in that conversation.
All right, and District 3, Mark Kors.
Well, first of all, I want to say that I think our highway department does an excellent job of maintaining our roads and bridges. We're one of the very few counties that do bridges in-house. Most counties sub that out. In 2017, the Community Crossing Grant Program began and was promised to be a 5-year program. Well, it's long past 5 years, and we're still having it, and we're lucky to have it. The wheel tax takes care of that. So every year we get $1 million, and some years we've gotten more than that. And we just, this last Thursday, Decatur County got $1.5 million for upcoming work. So I think our highway department does a fantastic job of doing that in-house. Now, as fuel prices go up and our government, federal government, wants us to cut back and increase mileage, fuel mileage on trucks, the fuel tax that we do get is going to decrease. So it's going to be a tough thing in the future. In 2016, when I took over commissioner, liquid asphalt was $200 a ton. Last week, I just bought a load for $875 a ton, and it's been that way for the last 3 years. It's 400% increase. So it's tough. With the same money today, in 2016, we could have done 4 times the number of miles. So it's going to be tough. It really is. Thanks.
All right, thank you. This will be our last question before the wrap up. We'll start with District 1, Melanie Nobby. If elected as commissioner, how do you plan to ensure some transparency and make sure you're involving residents in decision-making processes and making sure they're aware of what is going on?
Well, we currently already have everything live streamed on YouTube through Decatur County government. So we have that. And then I would also like to see like a social media page for commissioners and one for council where we can put everything on there that's going on in the county and what the commissioner and councils are working on. And then, I mean, if people just call, I will talk to them. I've answered so many questions this week already, and I've just told them what I know. So if we can just be open and honest, then that's what I'm going to try to do if elected as commissioner, because that's what I've done as council.
All right, thank you. District 1, Brian Winning.
Transparency, that's a hot word. Everybody likes to use that word. And I think that, as Melanie said, the meetings are on YouTube. You get to watch that if you can't attend. But also, I think that Rob Duckworth mentioned something about having the finances and those things that are readily available. I know we talk about going to the courthouse. Anybody can go to the courthouse and get those numbers or figures. But can we have them maybe more available online or a way to see those and be a little more transparent? As far as personally, I think that I'm an open book. You know, I get questions asking me all the time about different topics and subjects about a county commissioner. I'm open to that. I really honestly think that all of us here are transparent. I don't think there's something that we're hiding from the community, but I think that sometimes the community is uneducated or does not understand some of these topics that we're talking about. I think that's important to educate them, to let them know that when it comes to the food and beverage tax, when it comes to the pool, when it comes to these different topics, we have to educate them and get them to understand where we're coming from as a possible commissioner or sitting commissioner. I think that's super important. So transparency is something I think we all want to be, we all want to do. We're not hiding anything from anybody. Those numbers and figures are available, I think, but it's important that we all give that information out and educate those.
All right, thank you. District 1, Tony Blodgett.
So since I became commissioner, we've moved 50% of all meetings to the evenings. That's something I was highly supportive of and will continue to support. I also support making sure that agenda items are heard on more than one commissioner meeting. To have one in a discussion in the morning doesn't give the people an opportunity to come in the evenings. I conduct monthly open discussions and will continue to do that through the rest of my term and in additional terms where I invite people to come to any location through the county that I'm at and talk about anything with the commissioners they want. I have a very active commissioner Facebook page where people engage and ask questions, and I can go into details with that. I also believe that we need to provide education on what's going on within our things, and we do that in open meetings. It's on YouTube, but the discussions, the questions that we need to have, how much money do we have, where are we spending, and where are we going, that needs to happen in meetings. Rick Nobby gets credit for this attitude. When I was the jail commander and we were working on building the jail, Rick and I communicated all the time. And I would get into meetings, and Rick would ask me the same questions again. And it would infuriate me. And he caught me one day and says, "Hey, I saw it made you a little mad today." And I was like, we're all right. And he's like, "Remember, these discussions are for the public to hear. We have to discuss this in the public." And I've carried that forward since that day and carried forward as a commissioner. Our discussions, even if they happen in private, need to happen in public. And we can have disagreements, and we need to talk, and we need to educate each other, and we need to hear each other's opinions. But to not talk about a hot topic or a topic that may be seen negatively about your position isn't the right thing to do. We have to talk about what's going on so we can hear everybody's thoughts to make the best decision moving forward.
All right, thank you. District 3, we'll start with Nick Asher.
I think having the meetings at night and the evenings definitely help everything. I think Tony Blodgett does a great job having the informational sessions. Facebook is amazing. All three of the commissioners they'll tell you on Facebook what's going on, what's on the agenda. I think having it where more, I'm trying to think of the word here, more open. If you need something, you just need to call the commissioners. I mean, I'm an open book. My phone number's out there. If I get elected, it'll be out there 24/7. I'm sure I'll probably regret that if I do get elected, but you know, that's part of it. We're working for the people of Decatur County, and we have to be able to be there for them, no matter whether it's sunny, snowy, icy. You got to be there and let people know what's going on. I mean, that's the biggest thing. People don't think they know what's going on, or they think they're not going to be told what's going on. Well, just ask. I mean, if you got to ask one, go ask the other one. And I think that's the biggest thing, is being open to the public.
All right, thank you. District 3, Deanna Burkhart.
A lack of information tends to cause fear. It causes people to develop opinions that may not be supported by true knowledge. So transparency is very important. We've mentioned social media here a lot, but there are pluses and minuses to that social media. Make sure that the resources that you're seeking are the people that have the actual information. And as many of us have mentioned, if you want a direct answer, give us a call. I put my number out there all the time. Very frequently does my phone ring. It makes me wonder, do people actually want to have that discussion? I think communication is very important. We've recently revamped the county website, and I do think there's room for us to put more information on there, to sit down with the developers, to sit down with the folks that helped at least create that initial thing and see where we can add more information. And I don't think anybody in our government would be opposed to doing that.
Thank you. District 3, Mark Kors.
Yeah, I don't think anything happens of importance behind closed doors. We three commissioners air a lot of things out, not always pleasant. My phone, believe it or not, doesn't ring 24 hours a day, but I answer it. I've gotten calls as late as midnight from concerned people, whether they work second shift and they just got home and it hit their brain and they think I'm up watching a ball game. Well, if I'm in my chair at 9:30, I'm lucky to be awake. But we do have half our meetings in the evening so that people that work during the day have an opportunity to be there. There's a lot of things that go on that commissioners don't have control of, but the public thinks we do, whether it be the neighbors building a fence on my property or on their property and I don't like the color of it. I've gotten calls that the neighbor's dog's in my yard. You need to get over here. And I said, well, did you call animal control? Well, they're closed. So the commissioner is the fix-all for after hours things. So, yeah, my phone, I think everybody in the county's got my phone number. So, I do answer it. I was on vacation last spring break in Florida and someone called and I answered the phone and in the conversation, they said, well, what are you doing today? And I said, I'm laying here on the beach. Where are you? And I said, I'm on vacation. Why did you answer your phone? Well, I'm a commissioner. I answer my phone. And if anybody tells you that Mark Kors didn't answer their call or return their call immediately, they're lying to you. So thanks.
And District 3, Gabe Nobby.
Yes, I'm running for you. I don't need supplemental income or health insurance. I believe that we should put everything out there. The commissioners have done a great job right now. Tony posts a lot, does some live. I know Jeremy's posted a lot of information out there that allows people to follow along with what's going on. And I found out that it costs a lot of money to do the right thing too. I also just sent out 5,000 mailers with my number on it. So I have an email address and my number that is on that card. I'm sure most of you in the county have received that or will receive it. I'm always available. I have 2 phones now and they ring way too much, but I still always have time in the evenings, and that's when most people, are planning to contact. I like that they've changed the meetings, 2 of them, half the meetings to be at an attendable time. I would like to see all of them go to an attendable time. Monday at 8 o'clock is not a very favorable time for most people. Most people are busy. Most people have jobs. And there is a different feeling than being at the meeting than to read it on paper. So I think people should be able to attend and have full transparency. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And thank you all again for being here. We're going to start our wrap up and we'll go backwards from where we started. So we'll start with District 1, Brian Wenning. And this is a 3-minute wrap up.
First of all, thank you, WTRE and Greensburg Daily News, for hosting us today. In my introduction, I gave you some of my community involvements and accolades, but let me go a little deeper. I come from a family of 13. I have 12 siblings. I understand the value of sacrifice, working hard to earn your keep, and spending money on necessities. I don't think I ever had a new pair of pants until I was in junior high, and I bought those with my own money, Levi's from Learman's, if you know what I'm talking about. If I'm fortunate to be elected, I will work hard to make sure our tax dollars are spent wisely on the necessities to keep our community running smooth. One of my goals is to work towards a capital improvement plan, making sure our county buildings, facilities are in great working order for the future, prioritizing our needs over the next 5 years, and making a well thought out plan needs to be done. I think the county commissioner's position is demanding, and it takes a lot of time and effort to do the job right. I believe it could be a full-time job if done correctly. One advantage I feel I have over the other candidates is I'm retiring from my full-time job in December. This will allow me the time and effort it takes to be a good county commissioner. I can put in the hours, the meetings, and the dedication it takes to do the job right. One of my responsibilities at the firehouse is hiring firefighters. I've been fortunate to interview over hundreds of applicants. There are 2 questions in our interviews that I'd like to highlight. One is, what are your priorities? And 2, why should we choose you over the other candidates? I'd like to answer those for you today. My priorities are God first, family second, and then my career. My Christian and moral values help me be the best father, grandfather, and friend I can be. Also guiding my decision-making process concerning my workplace, service to others, and daily choices. Why should you choose me over the other candidates? You've heard all of our accolades and accomplishments today, and there are other candidates willing and capable to hold this position. And I am not here to tell you that I am better than any of them. In the fire service, we have what we call core values: honor, compassion, and dedication to service. And we like to call the citizens that we serve our customers. They pay our salaries and we owe them our best. I believe this should be the same with our elected officials. We owe our citizens or our customers our best. I attempt to live out these core values and attributes every day, although I am not perfect. But I can assure you, I will treat every citizen I meet with honesty, compassion, dignity, and respect. That's what you can expect from me if I'm fortunate enough to earn your vote. With your trust in me, let's make Decatur County the best place to share our faith, raise a family, and earn a living.
All right, thank you. District 1, Melanie Nobby is next.
Currently on council, I have done my best that I can to keep the taxpayers' best interest as well as the county's best interest. I have never taken county insurance. I will never take county insurance. I am lucky enough to have a full-time job that supports my position as council, and they said they will support a commissioner that I can work from home if needed, and I can work around my schedule as long as I'm there on Fridays to get payroll done. But if elected as your next commissioner for District 1, I will continue to keep the taxpayers and the county's best interest in heart.
Thank you. District 1, Tony Blodgett.
When I was growing up, I was taught that to do the best job possible, and hard work was what mattered. It's very hard to outwork me. I've used this philosophy in every job that I've had and will continue to do so as commissioner. Before taking office, I set a list of goals to direct me and have used them to guide me to become the best commissioner that I can be. I commit to these goals and continue to commit to them. I will create opportunities for feedback from the public. I won't wait for the feedback, I'll create it. I'll educate the public on positive and negative decisions. I'll make sure public meetings are advertised on multiple platforms to be viewed by the public. I'll share the agendas of the meetings so that people know what is being discussed and can decide if they are interested. I will support our law enforcement with proper equipment and training. I will also support the retention of experienced county employees to maximize efficiency and proficiency. I'll support the needs of the clerk's offices, the prosecutor's office to reduce backups in the court system, resulting in excessive pretrial detention time and jail overcrowding, thus reducing taxpayer burden. I'll continue to build Decatur County Court Services Division and rehabilitation services, and not only addiction services, but mental health. I'll assist local mental health and addiction recovery organizations to expand services and continue to help people recover from their addictions. I'll begin working with our small towns to enforce the county ordinances against littering, abandoned vehicles, and unsafe housing that's bringing down the property values of our county and reducing its population. I'll work with the towns to help prevent their communities and bring new homes to the area. I'll seek out builders to add homes to our area, our small towns, and our small unincorporated towns, and invite new home buyers. I'll make sure that our towns have proper infrastructure for growth. I'll create a committee to identify the infrastructure needs in the future and create a budget focused on paying for these needs without the need to raise taxes. These goals will ensure that my commitment to keep Decatur County a viable place to live for generations while maintaining our small town values that make us such a great place to live. These goals will also help reduce the tax burden on the Decatur County taxpayers, and it's how I plan to do that.
Thank you. District 3, Gabe Nobby, we'll start with you.
I plan to strengthen our county on our independent communities. I plan to strengthen our county by connecting our independent communities at a county level. I've spoken to law enforcement and residents about certain issues. First, I would like to speak about the independent towns such as St. Paul, Westport, and New Point, as well as all the volunteer fire departments, and propose a plan for them to sponsor the county IT department to cohesively manage and deliver the same technologies and support that the county police officers have and the city fire department has to all the towns and communities. The county IT has done a great job of helping already when possible of managed services, but I'd like to see an official agreement that builds a stronger and more connected fire and law enforcement. Second, I do want to address animal control. We are currently struggling as a community in the execution in this department. We have residents and officers that are being told that they need to subdue the problem animal, and then the animal control will pick it up, which goes against the exact definition. I want to implement and empower a more effective animal control policy that benefits the community. I think the two most important professional traits a person can hold are work ethic and grit. Throughout my professional career, I've experienced a steady rate of promotions. I work hard, I'm transparent, and I see a task through to completion. I have over 15 years experience in large-scale budgeting, negotiations, project management, and customer service. I will utilize what I have learned and practiced throughout my professional career to help lead this county. I have a technology background and am very proficient in research and problem solving, which enables me to react and execute quickly when needed. I have spoken to so many wonderful people in this county and heard their voices. The one thing I've noticed after you break it all down, most of us want the same thing. We just have different ideas on how to get there. I understand that, and I will work to deliver the best possible outcome within my power. Thank you.
Thank you. District 3, Mark Kors.
Why vote for me? My wife and I sat around the table, and why do you want to be reelected? You come home, and I sleep with this all the time. A commissioner's job is to maintain the county's assets, whether it be roads, bridges, buildings, or its employees. In the last 3 years, we've made a concentrated effort to get our employees to a comparable wage scale that's to surrounding counties of our size. When I took office in January 2017, and I'm a numbers guy, county health insurance fund balance was $1,153,479. I'm sorry, $1,153,479. January 1st, this past year, 2024, our insurance fund balance was $2,900,000. January 17th, when I took office, January of 2017, when I took office, our county general cash balance was $1,073,557. January 2024, our county general cash balance is $9,670,448, including our investments. Decatur County is not broke, as stated many times on social media. I serve on a regional economic development board called ARI. In 2021, our region was awarded $20 million in READY grant funds. Just this past Thursday, we were awarded another $30 million to invest in the quality of life, quality of place, and quality of opportunity. During my 7 years of service, I have been able to help the Highway Department obtain more than $8 million in community crossing matching grant money. A couple of years ago, we moved the county health department to the annex building on South Ireland Street, where they have been able to grow and expand their services to our residents. Met out there yesterday, and they were flabbergasted at what they have now and where they came from. I currently serve on the fair committee, where we have turned the county fair into a profitable experience for all to enjoy. The county built the new jail a few years ago, staying more than $1 million under budget and on time. The county has just completed the new highway facility using $9 million in TIF funds and coming in at over $1 million under budget. I'm proud to say that I'm a true conservative Republican. To help clear some other things that have been stated in the public, Decatur County has more than 630 miles of road, and the highway department can't clear all the roads in the first couple of hours after a snow event. I am not imposing a food and beverage tax. I am not in favor of spending $10, $12, or even $15 million on a new aquatic center. I am in favor of a modest and affordable swimming pool. In closing, I'm not a boastful man, but when I hear it's time for a change, be careful what you wish for. Decatur County is a great place to live and financially
That's
sound.
time. Sorry.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you. District 3, Deanna Burkert.
I want to start by thanking WTRE, Greensburg Daily News, and Wolf Theater for giving us this opportunity to come together today to share our views. Thank the audience for taking time to be engaged in our political process, and thank those running for taking on this daunting task. However daunting, it gets us a process that gives our citizens a voice. I'm here today not just as a candidate, but as a fellow member of our community. My children are the 6th generation of the Brady Water lineage to grow up on the farm in Decatur County. I believe in the potential of our county. I see the beauty and strength that comes from our agricultural and manufacturing roots. As a member of County Council, I have devoted many hours over the past 5+ years to making improvements for our community, whether that be from working to maintain quality workers in our courthouse through fair compensation, teaming with our public health department to bring much needed funding from the state to improve the health of our community, and working with our region to recapture millions of already taxed dollars from the state to bring them back to our community and invest in our future. As I look at that future, I see new challenges to tackle. Commissioners are the custodians of the county property. For too long now, we have looked at the needs of today and ignored the needs of tomorrow. It's all tied together. We need to assess our current assets, identify future needs and areas of improvement, and develop a long-term plan that will safeguard the economic stability of our county and not just keep putting out fires that end up costing us more in the long run. Communication in every aspect is in decline in our world. While we have more ways to connect than ever via cell phones, social media, etc., we have never seemed more far apart. That valuable communication is even more important as we lead a government that is for our citizens. All too often, residents feel disconnected from the decision-making process. Sometimes your elected officials don't communicate well with each other either. We can and we should do better. That's why anyone who has reached out to me with a question has been asked to meet with me and share their ideas so that I can hear their viewpoints and we can have a full understanding of the situation and overall better communication. This needs to become the norm and not the exception. It is clear that we face challenges in our community, including the need for affordable housing, affordable daycare, and resources for drug addiction and mental health services. We need leadership that has a voice, both locally and at a state level, to obtain resources and knowledge to get the job done. Someone with enough experience to understand the process and enough knowledge to lead the charge to help Decatur County become a place where everyone has the opportunity and the resources to thrive. I ask that you vote for Deanna Burkart for Commissioner to continue my efforts towards a better community for all. Thank you.
Thank you. In District 3, Nick Asher.
Decatur County is a great place to live. We need to continue making it a great place for the future children, my children, your children, where they want to stay here. I have 3 sisters that grew up. They were all 3 older than me, and they did not stay around. I wish they would have. They're all out of state. Let's keep this, get the roads better. Let's make Decatur County different, bring more people in, get the taxes lowered. Let's figure out a plan. Let's prioritize it. I appreciate your vote for Nick Asher, District 3.
All Right, thank you. I want to again thank all of you for being here today. District 1, Tony Blodgett, Melanie Nobby, and Brian Wenning. District 3, Nick Asher, Deanna Burkhart, Mark Kors, and Gabe Nobby. So thank you all for being here. All of our political candidates, thank you. I know it was a Saturday morning to take from your time, but we appreciate it. I know there are many more questions we'd all love to ask, but time is of the essence. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you to Jeremy Stallsmith for our sound today. Morgan Schofield for our video, Billy Joe as our timer. Tom Fleming's back at the station. Thank you. The Greensburg Daily News, Kevin Green, thanks for being with us today. Have a great Saturday. And again, this is on YouTube as well. So